Coming up on Phillies Nation presented by BQ Basement Systems, Pat and Corey figure out where Jimmy Rollins ranks in Phillies history. The guys also talk about the much improved bullpen. Jay Floyd stops by to give us an update on the minor leagues. Tommy Greene and Matt Stairs are back again, and I've got the batter's inbox questions. That's all ahead on Phillies Nation.
Welcome to the latest Phillies Nation. Corey and Pat with you here at Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall in Center City, Philadelphia. It's brought to you by BQ Basement Systems. We've got a lot to get to in this half-hour program, but let's start, of course, with Phillies history. Jimmy Rollins, now the all-time hits leader in Philadelphia Phillies history, passing Mike Schmidt. And take a look at some of these numbers throughout his career, because we've been talking here on this show, and a lot of people have been mentioning Hall of Fame candidacy, but within the Phillies organization, some pretty decent numbers. He's first in hits, first in doubles, second in games played, plate appearances, stolen bases. He's even ninth in home runs. He's had a really good career. Corey, where would you place him on the Phillies all-time list of players?
Well, when you look at that versatility, the fact that he ranks toward the top in all those extra base hit categories, as well as steals, and playing a premium defensive position with speed, Jimmy Rollins, I have him fourth all-time in Phillies history, behind only Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton, and Richie Ashburn. Had this debate with some folks last week. Some people had Robin Roberts ahead of Jimmy Rollins, Jim Bunning. When I look at guys like that, when I look at Dick Allen, Jim Bunning, they only played 6 years for the Phillies. I can't put them ahead of a guy like Jimmy, who's played 15 seasons and counting for the Phillies. Ed Delahanty and Chuck Klein, two other common answers. Well, nobody alive has seen them play. So again, I can't put them ahead of Jimmy Rollins. I mean, I guess there's one guy you have in mind that maybe you could put ahead of Jimmy, and maybe moving forward might supplant him.
I'm really surprised that you hadn't mentioned Chase Utley's name at all, because if you go by Fangraphs WAR, he's well ahead of Jimmy Rollins. Chase Utley, 57.5 Fangraph WAR, that's third in Phillies history. J-Roll is at 47.4, that's sixth in Phillies history. So you can kind of set it up as the longevity of Jimmy Rollins against the great prime of Chase Utley. And in his prime, 05 to 09, Chase Utley had 37.4 WAR. That's second behind only Albert Pujols. Then again, Jimmy Rollins has been able to play pretty much entire seasons for 15 years.
And that's the key point, is that since Jimmy Rollins' rookie year, he played 14 games the first year he came up. So cancel that out. Over the last 14 seasons, he's played 137 games or more, 12 of 14 times. Okay, so it might seem like Jimmy Rollins was a little injury-prone during that golden era of Phillies baseball, missing some games with calf injuries and the like, but Jimmy Rollins has been remarkably durable, and that's why when folks talk about the lack of hustle, you know, if he doesn't run out a pop-up every 3 years and it counts against the Phillies, I'll take that if he's playing 140 games a year.
I absolutely agree with you. And to steal one from Chip Kelly, the best ability is availability, and Jimmy Rollins has been available throughout his 15 years. And now we move to the trade talk, which is going to follow Jimmy Rollins up until the trade deadline. And it's really up to him if he wants to go, because he's got the 10-5 rights. Now, going back to March, he spoke with CSNPhilly.com and had this to say. He says, quote, "I don't know. If we're in absolutely last place with nowhere to go and change is obviously on the horizon, then at that point I'd think about it. But anything short of a complete disaster, I'm wearing red and white pinstripes." Then, after he broke the record, he said this, quote, "It really depends if everything is blown up." Sort of the same. Then you take that into consideration. If they blow everything up, then of course. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about that right now, but if the time does come and it's time to go, people move on. We have 6 weeks. We can make it difficult on Ruben. And then Ruben spoke last week as well. GM Ruben Amaro said it's hard to speculate because they are 10-5 guys with full trade protection. If someone comes and says, we'd like to add Jimmy Rollins or Chase Utley, I have to do my job and listen. What do you think?
Okay, so Jimmy Rollins said that the only way he's going is that the Phillies are in dead last place with no hope. Well, where were they after that Sunday, that weekend series against the Cubs, when the Phillies hit the road? 9 games under 500, third worst run differential in all of baseball. Rough upcoming schedule. I mean, you have the Braves a couple times, you have the Marlins who are playing extremely well, you have the Cardinals, you have a series in Pittsburgh, you finish up the first half with the Nationals. It does look like the Phillies are probably going to be out of it. This offense continues to disappear at any given moment, and you know, I think that when the middle of July hits and the work environment becomes such that you're losing pretty much every day, and you know, I don't want to paint a picture of doom and gloom here, but I think that the Phillies' best way to create some intrigue and some hope moving forward is to sell off these these valuable pieces that they have.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But then again, J-Roll can say no, Chase Utley can say no. A lot of these guys hold the keys when it comes to trades. But speaking of doom and gloom, it was doom earlier this season for the Phillies bullpen, but since that point, it has really changed. Guys like Jake Diekman, they bring up Ken Giles, who we'll talk a little bit about later with Jay Floyd. So the turnaround has been necessary. Now, it hasn't meant more wins for the team, but they've really needed this from the back end of their bullpen.
When I look at the bullpen over the last month, you know, low threes ERA, and not only just the ERA, but it's the stuff too. Jake Diekman, electric stuff. Ken Giles, electric stuff. We're going to talk about it a little more in depth later in the show, but when you look at the possibility that over the next decade, the Phillies could have Jake Diekman from the left side, Ken Giles from the right side, that could be an electric combination. Inexpensive, young, and when you consider that you could have those guys pitching in the 8th and 9th if they continue to develop, think about how much money the Phillies are spending on their setup man and closer this season. $20 million on Mike Adams and Jonathan Papelbon. If you have Diekman and Giles to continue to progress, you can save that $20 million, spend it on a starting pitcher, spend it on an everyday player, save yourself some money in the bullpen. And Diekman, real quick, 96.5 mile per hour average two-seam fastball. That is the fastest two-seam fastball in all of baseball, in all of the National League.
Really good, not bad. And Justin DeFreitas, we didn't even mention him. He's another guy that could take a nice step forward if he's given the opportunity. So far, so good there. So far, so good for us. We're coming right back here on Phillies Nation. Don't go anywhere. We've got Ryan coming up. We've got Matt Stairs, Jay Floyd. The whole gang is here. We're coming right back.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
Travel is not the exciting adventure it used to be. I still love the destination, yet getting there can be a hassle unless you travel like the pros. Major League Vacations offers exciting personal or group travel options to your team's away game or your favorite vacation destinations. MLV does all the legwork. You focus on the experience. For more than 20 years, MLV has been a trusted partner to thousands of people just like you. Visit MLV.com and make travel exciting again, or call 800-222-6256. Tell them Ricky Bo sent you.
We're very excited to implement a program called 8 Weeks to Wellness. At Summit Spine and Wellness, we combine chiropractic care, massage therapy, customized nutrition, personal training, and meditation. If you want to improve your health, take the 8 Week to Wellness Challenge like Dan, who lost 32 pounds, 6 inches off his waist, and 94 points off his cholesterol. We use a customized wellness score to measure your health and develop a diet and fitness plan just for you. Call our office at 215-487-2500 and ask about getting set up for your wellness score.
In a world where bankers have lost all interest, where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes, one woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union, already in a neighborhood near you.
The natural.
So what was the interview process like?
It was just basically walking in and get to put the suit on and you go in and you're watching some films. You talk about the films, what you see, play-by-play for half an inning. Talk about a certain pitcher, his strengths, what the hitter should do, and that was it. It takes it literally about 8 minutes.
Wow, that's really quick.
Well, it is, and I think you do a couple takes to see what's going to happen, and it's just like our pregame. When we do our pregame, we tape it and we work on certain things. And for me, it's to stop talking Canadian and try to get the accent out. So it's there's a lot of different things.
Ooh. That was scary. So is that your biggest challenge, transitioning into the broadcasting role, is your accent?
Well, that's not going to ever change. I think for me it was. I've always talked fast. Canadians don't finish their sentences. Instead of say hitting, we say hitting. So it's pronunciations, but You know, they hired me for who I am, and it's not going to change. I found the biggest thing was you got to watch your language, what you say, and another thing was when to talk and when not to talk, which is different.
Now I'm like thinking about it.
No, that's good. Now that's the worst thing about ball players do is we think so much.
Right.
Instead of seeing the ball and hitting it.
Okay. How is it criticizing or being critical of some of the guys that you played with? They're your friends. I mean, they're your teammates.
But it's also, it's my job and it's their job to go out and perform. And you can criticize people in a good way. You know, you're not going to sit there and bury somebody on TV. It doesn't matter even if I don't know the guy. You know, if they're playing the game right, then I won't make excuses. But it's the time when they're not running the bases or they're, you can just tell they're not really concentrating a whole lot in the outfield or infield or whatever it is. We'll make that point out. But my first year was very hard to go in the locker room and talk to guys and do the interviews. Now it's a piece of cake because people want, that's your job. People want to know what's going on, and to sit down and talk to somebody and to find out how they're feeling. You know, Ryan Howard in spring training, how's his health? And then if Dominic Brown or somebody makes a mistake in the outfield, we'll pick out and break down why he was late getting there. And so to answer your question, no, it's not hard. Because people criticize me about how I broadcast, and broadcasting and when I played, so it's part of the job.
Thanks so much, Matt, for coming out to Everybody Hits.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Natalie. Thank you, Matt Stairs. Welcome back to Phillies Nation. Corey and Pat with you. And now we go into one of our favorite segments. It's fantasy baseball. Who doesn't love fantasy baseball? And it's brought to you by DraftStreak.com. It's the future of fantasy sports with free one-day leagues where you can win cash prizes. Let's go back to last week. Who did you pick? I think that guy had a pretty good week, didn't he?
Picked Danny Duffy. Went 7 scoreless innings against the White Sox with 9 strikeouts. Was his best start of the season. A guy that you'll want to keep moving forward. Kansas City Royals starting pitcher.
Absolutely. I went with Kendry Morales. Is this S silent? We're
also
not
had
sure
a good
yet.
week.
He did have a good week. He had 381 last week with 4 RBIs in his first week with the Minnesota Twins. How about this week? Help the people.
I have Tanner Roark, the national starting pitcher. He's owned in just 52% of leagues. I don't understand it. He's made every start this year. He has a 2.92 ERA, a 1.06 whip. In June, 21 innings, 3 runs allowed, 19 strikeouts, 2 walks. He's on fire. That Nationals pitching staff is really picking up the pace. He's probably the best number 5 starter in all of baseball right now.
Is that because people don't know who he is? Is that why?
Could be. I mean, he's only made about 20 career starts, so that could be the case.
Well, people know about Derek Jeter. He's only owned in like 32% of Yahoo leagues, hit 375 last week for the Yankees. I think he wants to go out on a high note. He's not going to let himself sink into the abyss, hit 220 in his final year. I think he's going to have a pretty decent year. Again, if you have an injury at shortstop, he's not really a starter quality right now, but you could do far worse than Derek Jeter on your bench. Let's go from there and let's go to by the numbers, some really interesting stuff from the Pittsburgh Pirates this week. Andrew McCutchen, MVP, he's having an amazing month. This month, 415 in June through 15 games, 52 total bases. His best month in the MVP year, just 58 total bases. Andrew McCutchen, he's on your fantasy team. It's not really helping though, is it?
No, it's not. 9th place out of 10, despite having Andrew McCutchen. I looked at the Oakland Athletics, and it's just incredible what they're doing. I mean, I know that everybody is aware of how well they're playing. They lead baseball in runs scored. They lead baseball in runs allowed. Plus 132 run differential. The last team this far into the season with a run differential that high was the 1998 New York Yankees, who won 114 games and the World Series. That's the last time a team was at least plus 132 as of June 15th. Incredible what the A's are doing with an $82 million payroll.
And I think the Yankees that year ended up like plus 300 and something. They had an incredible 114 wins that year, but the A's, they are a fun team to watch. And I forgot, the Pittsburgh Pirates as well bring up Gregory Polanco, who we talked about earlier this year. First Pirates player with a hit in each of his first 6 games since Roberto Clemente. Pretty good company right there.
I'd say. The last one I have relates to the Phillies in that Cubs series. The Phillies lost that series at home to the Chicago Cubs, who had not won a series in Philadelphia since 2001. That was the last time the Cubs won a series in Philadelphia. That was also the Cubs' first road series win of the entire 2014 season.
That is tough to lose to the Cubs. Let's go to our Twitter trivia. Use the hashtag PNTrivia at Phillies Nation. Now, last week we talked about time of games because every game this year is just going on and on and on. But in 2011, at their pitching prime, the Phillies had a lot of games under 2.5 hours. In the first 50, they had 11 such games. So last week's question was, how many times have the Phillies played a game this year under 2.5 hours? You have a guess?
None.
They played 4 actually so far this year, which I think is pretty crazy. But Cliff Lee had that quick game in Toronto. There's been a few thrown in there.
The Julio Tehran Cliff Lee game, that was a short one too.
Absolutely, but it's nothing like the season they had in 2011. This week's Twitter trivia question is, since 2004, Jimmy Rollins is second among all shortstops in home runs with 174. Who is first? And you had to have played at least 80% of your games at shortstop.
Oh, well, that changes a lot because I was thinking maybe Miguel Tejada because he was in his prime hitting a lot of home runs, but I don't think he's played 80% of his games at short. He moved to third, played some other places, so I'm curious to see what the answer is there.
Is it Miguel Tejada? We shall find out. Hashtag PN Trivia at Phillies Nation. Corey and Pat, we're coming right back here on Phillies Nation.
At Village Catering, we're committed to making your event one to remember. We are family owned and operated, and for more than 30 years, we've made our mark on Philadelphia as a go-to caterer for all of your special events. We're also the official caterer of the Flyers and Soul and the preferred caterer of Temple Athletics. We will work with you at customizing your off-site event, or you can have your event at our on-site facility, the Cottage Greene, so that you'll feel like a guest at your own party. Contact us at 215-698-1117 or villagecatering.com and we'll help you make a memory today.
The new Phillies Nation online store is full of cool and unique gifts for fans of all ages. We've handpicked only the best Phillies gear and keep prices low because we love our customers. Use the promo code TV to save 10% on items like illustrations by local artists, autographs of current and former Phillies, vintage Phillies hats from 1914 on, and plenty more. Visit shop.philliesnation.com now on your computer, tablet, or phone. And don't forget to use the promo code TV to save 10%.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
Phillies Nation is filmed at Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall in Center City, Philadelphia. Visit them for drink specials all throughout the World Cup and the remainder of the Phillies season.
Welcome back to Phillies Nation. I'm Ryan Williams. We're here at Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall. It's time for our Batter's Inbox questions, where the guys debate your question and I'll pick the winner. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Our first question. John Mayberry is quietly having a solid season, mostly off the bench. Should the Phillies use him more? Pat?
No, they should not, because they've tried that already and it really hasn't worked. And so far this season, the numbers have been pretty good. I mean, .438 as a pinch hitter. He's got 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in so far. Why move him out of that? You finally have found something that works for John Mayberry Jr., and they have needed a solid bench. And I know that Dominic Brown has gone through some struggles, and Ben Revere obviously in center field has as well, but I like Mayberry coming off the bench, and I like him only against left-handed pitching because he's struggled against righties as well. This is perfect for him, perfect.
I hear you, Pat, but I'm saying yes, play him more because he could be a trade chip. The fact that he's been so good as a pinch hitter, if the Phillies showcase him a little bit more here, maybe a team comes calling. I mean, the Phillies have been trying to deal him reportedly for a pretty long time. The Giants were one rumored destination.
Boston's name was thrown in there.
A team that's had terrible outfield production this year. So the more you play Mayberry, the more exposed he's going to be to the league. Maybe that hinders his production. Maybe it boosts it and allows you to trade him.
Gonna go with Pat on this one.
Is that right?
Yes, John Mayberry's having an amazing season off the bench, especially against left-handed hitting.
Yeah, all right, I'll take it. Nice.
All right, our next question. If the Phillies trade Jimmy Rollins, what team would he go to? Corey?
I'm saying the Tigers. The Tigers are a common theme here when we talk about where should a guy go. Last year when we talked about Jonathan Papelbon, it was always the Tigers, but right now with Jose Iglesias injured, you know, the Tigers were a reported destination for Stephen Drew. They didn't land him. They need a shortstop. Jimmy Rollins could bat at the top of that order, bat second, play defense, add some speed that lineup kind of lacks outside of Rajai Davis. And look, the Tigers started to run away with it early in the season and then have really floundered since. And that's a very tight AL Central. They're going to need to make some moves to position themselves better for the playoffs. And the fact that they've lost 2 World Series in recent years, I think they'll do everything they need to do to get better.
This is an easy question. It's Oakland. The kid goes back home to Oakland from the Bay Area. Why not the A's? Billy Beane, he's smart. And J-Roll's contract isn't that bad. So Billy Beane, I think, would take that on because it's only about $11 million. And then next year, looking ahead, if he does trade for him, well, he can trade for him at the or he can trade him away at the deadline next year. And you know where Billy Beane would trade him? To the New York Yankees, because Derek Jeter is retiring. But now this year with the Oakland A's, Eric Sogard, their second baseman, is struggling. Jed Lowry, their shortstop, is struggling. Move Lowry to second base, then you've got one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball, in Jimmy Rollins, on that team, and another team that has really struggled to get over that hump, the Oakland A's, in the postseason. He's going to Oakland.
You've got it all figured out.
Absolutely.
But Corey's still going to win that
How
one.
is that possible? Fine.
Our last question, what is your favorite MLB record, Pat?
My favorite MLB record, and I don't think it's going to be broken, at least not anytime soon, Nolan Ryan's strikeouts record, over 5,700. Check out some of these numbers. Randy Johnson's 839 behind him. That's a lot. And Randy Johnson was a pretty good strikeout pitcher. How about some guys that pitch now? Felix Hernandez, 3,900 behind him. That's never going to be broken. Felix Hernandez would have to average 200 strikeouts for about 19 years just to catch him. No way, it's the strikeouts record.
Another record that's never going to be broken is David Wells' fattest pitcher to ever throw a no-hitter.
It was quite heavy.
No, I'm kidding. That's not my favorite. That's not my favorite record. My favorite record, and this is an underrated one that's never going to be broken. Rickey Henderson, the modern record, stolen bases in a season, 130. When's the last time we saw a guy steal 80 bases? And Rickey Henderson stole 130, and that was less than 25 years ago. That's incredible. That's never going to be done again. Guys just don't run the way he did, and they never will for the rest of time.
Sorry, Pat. Corey did his homework.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
All right, love it. Come on, go to break.
Well, that wraps up our Batter's Inbox questions for this week. We want to hear what you have to say, so leave them for us on our Twitter and Facebook page. We'll be right back with more Phillies news.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
In a world where bankers have lost all interest, where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes, one woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union, already in a neighborhood near you.
We're very excited to implement a program called 8 Weeks to Wellness. At Summit Spine and Wellness, we combine chiropractic care, massage therapy, customized nutrition, personal training, and meditation. If you want to improve your health, take the 8 Week to Wellness Challenge like Dan, who lost 32 pounds, 6 inches off his waist, and 94 points off his cholesterol. We use a customized wellness score to measure your health and develop a diet and fitness plan just for you. Call our office at 215-487-2500 and ask about getting set up for your wellness score.
Phillies Nation is presented by BQ Basement Systems, the Philadelphia region's premier basement contractor.
Hi, I'm Tommy Greene. Today we're going to talk about the difference between the curve and the slider. I threw the slider predominantly, but I did throw a curve. The slider is held, I used to hold it off my fastball when I threw a two-seamer when I was younger, which is like this. I took it, went across the seams like this, hooked it there. The key to it in my mind was I wanted to be able to cushion my elbow, which is not get around the baseball. So when I go to throw it, I'm staying behind it and on top of it. And I wanted it to come here. So you see it start to spin. The key to it is my wrist staying in like this on the ball. The curve ball, you got different ways you can throw it. You can spike it, you can hook it there, and you throw it just the same. You think fastball, and to the end, you stay behind it and on top of it. Then you break it down like this with a flat wrist or in a little bit. That makes it go like over your fingers to get the downward spin. That's the difference in between the curve ball and the slider to me.
Thank you, Tommy. Welcome back to Phillies Nation TV here at Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall. It's presented by BQ Basement Systems, and we bring in our minor league contributor, the guy that knows everything about Phillies prospects. He is Jay Floyd. You can check him out also on foulballs.com. Jay, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks.
Well, let's talk about the guy that everyone's been talking about all season. That's Ken Giles. He finally makes it to the big leagues. I think we pretty much set a record talking about him every episode leading up to this, and he's done well so far in a short stint in the major leagues. Talk about what you saw from him in the minors that allowed him to get to the majors.
Kenny's a guy that was on the fast track and been an excellent performer through his career. Struggled last year at opposite side oblique strains last year with Class A Advanced Clearwater, and he's just been an exciting guy to watch. He's a guy that hits the triple digits on the miles per hour, and he thrives off of that. He loves it. He loves to be the guy that his teammates count on. He loves to be in that back end of the bullpen role. Loves that his teammates want him out there, and gets a real big kick out of the fan reaction and the buzz. One quote that I recall him saying to me that, about hitting 100 miles an hour on the gun, he said, "That's just who I am. That's just what I do."
I like
Gotta
that.
love Kenny Giles.
And going along those lines, Ken Giles a few months ago was quoted as saying that he's always wanted to be a reliever. That's always been his dream. You know, a lot of these guys, Mariano Rivera, for example, began his career as a starting pitcher. Most guys do not begin their careers as relievers. Kenny Giles did, already been predisposed to this role. And we talked about early in the show between Ken Giles and Jake Diekman, that could give the Phillies a powerful 8th, 9th inning combo for years to come.
All right, and looking at the other prospects, and the number one guy, of course, is J.P. Crawford. But let's talk about him, J.P., and Roman Quinn, because Roman Quinn obviously is blocked at shortstop because of J.P. Crawford. Keith Law thinks highly of him. A lot of well-respected baseball people think very highly of J.P. Crawford. So they've moved Roman Quinn. Where's he going?
Roman Quinn leaked on Twitter less than a week ago. He's headed to the outfield. He tweets out, "Hey, who's got an outfielder's glove for me?" But he's a guy that the Phillies converted to shortstop based on his side, based on his speed. They thought that he'd be best suited there. They were teaching him to switch hit, and all the while he was struggling. He had 61 errors in the field in 150 career pro games. So struggling there at shortstop. Never really, he didn't have his heart in it. He didn't want to be there. He felt more comfortable in the outfield, and he was just really waiting for the day and the opportunity to get back to the outfield. And he's getting back out there. Crawford's getting promoted there. That clears the room with Clearwater when Quinn makes the slide to the outfield. And Crawford's a leader for the Blue Claws club. He's been an all-star there. Now he's moving on up, and it's very exciting for Crawford. 16th overall pick last year for the Phils.
Well, with Quinn, I mean, it can't hurt for the Phillies to increase their outfield depth, first off. And second off, when I look at J.P. Crawford's numbers, early in his career, 301 batting average, 402 on base percentage, reportedly elite defense. I mean, this is a guy who looks like he can be the Phillies shortstop of the future, batting first, batting second for years and years to come. And I found the timing a bit interesting that a day after Jimmy Rollins sets the all-time hits record, the shortstop of the future makes the next step in his own progression.
Now let's talk about Aaron Nola, first-round pick this year, 7th overall. Where's he headed? Clearwater, Lakewood? I know they want him on the fast track because they think that he could be maybe one of the fastest risers in that draft to the major league level.
That's the analysis on Aaron Nola, and he's supposed to be the guy that out of that draft, 7th overall pick by the Phils, highest they've picked in more than a dozen years, the first guy that's supposed to reach the majors. So Aaron Nola, like you mentioned, rumored on the fast track, should be starting out here in the coming weeks. His pro career with Class A Advanced Clearwater. SEC Player of the Year 2 years in his 3-year career there with LSU, and first team All-American, excellent performer, elite type of prospect coming into the system, and the Phillies are lucky to have college pick coming out that early.
Just real quick, envisioning a rotation 2 years down the road of Cole Hamels, Jesse Biddle, Aaron Nola, that can give Phillies fans some hope for the future.
Absolutely. Jay Floyd, check him out again at foulballs.com and, of course, at Phillies Nation. He is our minor league contributor. Jay, we appreciate the time.
Thank you.
That is it for us here on Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems. Come hang out at the Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall. He is Corey Simon. I'm Pat Gallen. Thank yous all around. 2020 Visual, Brian Michael, Ryan Williams, the whole gang. We'll talk to you next time.